ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. Today we're going to look at Season 1, Episode 2, titled simply as Deep Throat. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, it has nothing to do with the scrambled TV channels you watched as a kid, so please get your mind out of the gutter. As always, we will be going through the entire episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend watching that first, then coming back here. The episode begins as military police arrive at the house of Mrs. Budahas. They tell her husband has violated a security protocol and has stolen a military vehicle. They bust into the house, finding Colonel Budahas looking like he forgot to wear his copper tone SPF 150. We then see this unfortunate name, especially for an episode called Deep Throat. Mulder and Scully are at a bar enjoying a bit of day drinking, as you do. They must be ex-Twitter employees with how little work they seem to get done. Mulder explains a case of a missing man, Colonel Budahas. His wife reported it as a kidnapping. He notes that multiple pilots over the years have gone missing while flying experimental aircraft. While in the bathroom of all places, Mulder gets confronted by our Deep Throat. The jokes here just kind of write themselves. Deep Throat tells Mulder to leave the case alone or expose themselves to the risk of pursuit. Mulder chases off after Deep Throat, but he's like the goddamn Batman and he just vanishes. Later that night, after doing a bit of research, Scully calls Mulder to talk about the case. Mulder hears a click, realizing his phone is being tapped, and tells Scully they'll talk later on the plane. In Marriott Field, Southwest Idaho, the agents meet Mrs. Budahas, who I recognize from a creepy movie called Grace. She plays this older woman who tries breastfeeding a vampire baby, and no, I wish I was making that up. She explains her husband had suffered from rashes, angry outbursts, and odd behavior like adding fish flakes to his food. She points them to Verla McLennan, whose husband experienced a similar disappearance. Although he returned, he isn't quite who he used to be. She believes it's due to the stress he was under in the military. Verla gives Mrs. Budahas shit for bringing the agents in. Scully believes the men to be washouts of the Aurora project, the Aurora being a rumored reconnaissance aircraft being dismissed by most as merely a myth. However, though, Mulder does not believe this theory. Back at their motel, Scully mentioned she was able to arrange an appointment with Colonel Kissel. The following day, the agents approach Colonel Kissel for questioning, only to be told off.
This is an invasion of my privacy.
Why don't you talk to us about Colonel Budahas?
Why don't you get the hell out of my yard?
A local journalist, Paul Mosinger, who must have placed an AirTag tracking device on the agent's car because how the hell did he know where they were? Mulder asks him if he's ever seen a UFO, and the reporter dismisses the whole thing in the whitest way ever.
You ever seen a UFO?
Never. Bunch of hooey, if you ask me.
He does, however, direct him to the Flying Saucer Diner, where he might meet someone that has seen a UFO. At the diner, Mulder notices a bunch of photos on the wall of UFOs. A woman working at the bar pulls the easiest grift ever by selling Mulder a print of one of the photos. Scully at this point says what we're all thinking.
Sucker.
Scully notes the airbase isn't on her map, however Mulder got one that does from the diner. Mulder and Scully drive just outside the base, and Scully gives him shit.
Is this why we came out here, Mulder? To look for UFOs?
At night, Scully is sleeping in the car when a loud rumble breaks the windows, startling her awake. Mulder, being super excited, takes Scully up the hill to see some UFOs flying above the base. Scully, the skeptic as usual, needs to rationalize it all.
What else could they be?
I don't know, lasers maybe. Being shot from the ground, reflecting up off the clouds.
Another light heads towards the agents, and it's revealed to be a helicopter. Some teens are seen fleeing from the base as the agents give them chase. The agents take them to a diner and ask what they were doing at the base. A man is seen outside the diner watching the agents, reporting to his superiors. Chris Griffin believes the lights to be experimental military aircraft. Mulder shows them a picture of a UFO, asking if the aircraft looked like it. The following day, after the agents drop off the teens, Scully sarcastically asks Mulder if he believed what they said. I am wondering if Scully did too.
Mulder, did you see their eyes? If I were that stone...
Ooh, if you were that stone, what?
Mulder, you could have shown that kid a picture of a flying hamburger and he would have told you that's exactly what he saw.
Mulder believes the aircraft were built using UFO technology. He then asks Scully if what they saw in the field wasn't UFOs, then well, what the hell was it?
Doesn't mean I'm gonna believe they were UFOs.
Unidentified flying objects. I think that fits the description pretty well.
At the motel, Scully is booking it and tells Mulder that she got a call from Mrs. Budahas that her husband returned. Mrs. Budahas, visibly distraught, claims that the man in her living room is not her husband. Mulder asks some basic questions to the colonel and he answers them just fine. That is, until Mulder asks some questions about piloting, in which Colonel Budahas just can't seem to remember, which is odd for someone with the credentials that he has. Mulder believes they erase certain memories from his brain, and well, Scully's reaction is what we have come to expect.
The brain doesn't work like that, Mulder. You can't just go in there and erase certain files.
Then you explain it to me.
There are types of amnesia
This is not amnesia.
While driving, the agents are stopped by a few cars. The men in black forcefully remove the agents from their vehicle, confiscating and destroying all of their evidence, Mulder being assaulted in the process. They are told to leave or face the consequences. And whatever happened to the fun men in black that would, just use a simple flash from their neuralizer? Back in the motel, Scully asks who those men were. Mulder claims the men knew they were coming from the beginning and that it was them that chased the agents away with the helicopter. They argue, and Scully tells Mulder that Budahas has returned and to leave while he still has a job. Mulder tells Scully he's going to shower and pack, but instead, psych, he gets in the car and instead takes off.
Mulder! Where are you going?
He meets with Oz from Buffy, who shows him a hole in the fence and tells him where to go to get to the base. At nightfall, Mulder comes to a runway on the base where he comes face to face with a UFO. Mulder is chased down by military vehicles. He's captured and strapped down to a gurney. The military personnel inject Mulder with something that I'm sure is very safe and very effective, and has definitely been through the necessary years of testing. Back at the motel, Scully makes a call to Washington, but the phone is cut. She heads to the manager's office to use their phone, but it's cut there as well. Back at the military base, Mulder is drugged and being wheeled through a warehouse. A craft can be seen hidden behind a tarp. Heading back, Scully sees Paul, the journalist from earlier, leaving her room. Hesitant of him and reaching for her gun, she hears a radio from his car confirming her suspicions. He attacks her, but Mom ain't raised no bitch.
Put the gun down, and we'll talk about it.
Paul Mosinger is actually security for the airbase and not a journalist. Scully, with her gun pointed directly at this clown's back, threatens him with exposing everything if she doesn't get Mulder back. Now take note, modern day writers, because this is how you write a strong female character. At the base, Mulder is being subjected to some experiments doing God knows what to him. Scully arrives at the base with douche canoe and she doesn't take his shit.
You do anything stupid in this situation could get big in a hurry.
Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that.
A military jeep arrives, releasing a very groggy and confused Mulder. Scully, with her gun still pointed at Dickless here,
All right, well, that's what I heard.
tells Mulder to get into the car. Mulder, who has had his mind toyed with, has no recollection of how he got there.
How did I get here?
The agents arrive back at Budahas' residence, and Mrs. Budahas claims everything is fine, which, based off her body language, we know to be bullshit. And Mulder knows this too, but Scully's just done with it at this point.
They were here. They must have threatened her
That's
and
enough,
Budahas...
Mulder! We don't know anything.
Back at her place, Scully's writing a report looking super adorable. String Bean Mulder is doing laps when Deep Throat approaches. He tells Mulder his life is in danger now and says he will help him, but only so long as it serves his purpose of revealing the truth.
They're here, aren't they?
Mr. Mulder, they've been here for a long, long time.
This is the second episode in the mythology storyline. Shot over a year after the pilot was filmed, we get our introduction to Deep Throat, who isn't actually named until later on in the series. Deep Throat is based off the infamous Watergate informer Mark Felt, who worked for the FBI as a special agent, then rose to associate director. This is a great follow-up to the pilot. Deep Throat gives us more insight into our agents and the conspiracy they will be up against throughout the series. Anyways, that's all for today. If you haven't seen the first episode, you can click the link here. Now, as always, if you would like and subscribe to my channel, it would mean a lot to me. I'll be back with another episode next week. Thanks for watching, and take care.